It's an extremely common occurrence for developers to overestimate the system requirements for their games. Battlefield 1 is no exception. However, there are a couple caveats to this. In particular, I wanted to test Battlefield 1 and its requirement of a 2GB video card. I wanted to see if it'll run on a single gigabyte video card, in this case a Radeon 7750 that's in my wife's Gateway desktop computer. Considering Frostbite's history in previous titles not needing more than a 1GB video card, at least to run at low settings, I was fairly confident that this Radeon 7750 1GB with GDDR5 memory would be able to run this game at least at its lowest settings in 720p. And you know what? I was correct. What you're seeing here is actually the game running at 1080p, all lowest settings, and it looks pretty good. Looking at the top left where I have MSI Afterburner statistics running on top of the game, you can see that we're using just over 950 megabytes of VRAM. However, unfortunately, as we watch the video here, we're going to run into some stutter, where I believe textures are loading out of system memory into VRAM, because that last bit of VRAM is not enough to handle whatever else is necessary to run this level. And that is very unfortunate. Even when we move down to 720p, we do not free up enough video memory to keep out these stutters. Or at least that is my hypothesis. Now, it is possible we could go into Windows 10, which is what I'm running here, and we could disable some stuff in the background, like our Windows shell, that is going to take up a vast amount of video memory. I was looking at some of this, how MSI Afterburner, when it was running without the game running, but just in Windows by itself, Windows 10 was using up to, and sometimes more, than 300 megabytes of video memory on its own. Now, I did manage to get to a point where I was able to get it down to 200, but still, unfortunately, I encountered these stutter issues. Now, here's to show the settings. Right now, like I said, I have it running at 1080p, and everything is at their absolute lowest in DX11 mode. Now, reflecting on the stated system requirements, this system only has 6 gigabytes of system memory, and I've even heard this game can even run on 4. Now, also going back to our system requirements and talking about the GPU, the 7750 is below the stated requirements. However, the GPU itself in the 7750 is not a problem. I did actually manage to get this run at all medium settings, 1080p on the Mount Grappa map, and for a short while it did not stutter, and our FPS was around 30 FPS, which is quite impressive. But at the same time, it's not very surprising when we gotta consider this game was made to run on the Xbox One. So getting this game to run on this lower end hardware is not really a GPU problem, it is a video memory problem. The Empire's Edge map, as we are watching here, is a very detailed, very large map with a lot of unique and interesting textures. And it's because of that I believe that the video memory is just getting absolutely saturated and we can't fit everything onto that 1GB pool of video memory. Other maps like Mount Grappa probably don't have as large and diverse a set of textures as Empire's Edge here. Even at the lowest settings, the textures on this map, and hell, any other map in this game, are still pretty detailed. They're probably akin to medium textures in Battlefield 4, which this 1GB 7750 runs quite comfortably at 1080p with medium to high settings. However, Battlefield 4 is a game that was designed with the old consoles in mind, the PS3 and the Xbox 360, as well as the PS4, Xbox One, and PCs of the time. I firmly believe that by disregarding the old consoles and going purely current gen and of course current PCs, DICE really just hit it out of the park when it comes to game performance and optimization, because they didn't have to worry about those old architectures that would really just hold the game back. 1GB video cards from a few years ago really were just built in mind for late last generation games, and you could say they were sort of configured for early current generation games like Titanfall, which of course were released on last gen consoles as well as current. Now, I did try running this game plenty of times in 720p mode as opposed to 1080p, and while the FPS actually picks up, we still run into these stutter issues. We just don't have enough video memory. The GPU is powerful enough, like I said, we just do not have enough video memory to keep that 7750 well fed and well optimized. As I mentioned earlier, I did try disabling some things on Windows 10 to hopefully free up some video memory. I even disabled the Explorer, which did take off about 100 megabytes of video memory, at least from what I saw using MSI Afterburner statistics. But even still, we still ran into the stutter issue, unfortunately. Now, if you are running this game on Windows 7, which with Arrow disabled, should not take up more than about 100 megabytes of video memory, you might actually see playable performance without the stutter. I would test this. Unfortunately, I do not have Windows 7 installed right now, and that's a lot of trouble to go through just to test this one thing. But perhaps any of you with Windows 7 still running this game could possibly let me know if it's running on your 1GB video card. That'd be really cool to know. Just leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear them, and as well as your experience in running this game on that kind of hardware. Perhaps using custom configurations and console commands, we could probably load up less detailed versions of the textures than what are seen in low settings. That, of course, would free up a lot more video memory and possibly get rid of all the stuttering that we've been seeing. Now, of course, that means less visual acuity, but if you have an old video card with only a gigabyte of VRAM, it's probably going to be your only way to play this game with good frame rates without stuttering. Or you can just go out and buy a new video card. Even a cheap 2GB video card like a GTX 950, RX 460, or one of the new GTX 1050s is more than capable of running this game at high and possibly even ultra textures at 1080p. And at only $100, they're a pretty good investment if you want to stay cheap, yet still want to be able to play the latest games with pretty good performance and really good graphics. However, with the PS4 Pro soon to come out and the Xbox Scorpio just around the corner, well, next year, expect the textures in games to go up by a very large margin, especially in multi-platform titles. Those systems will have the kind of graphics horsepower to really take advantage of the kind of textures really only seen in PC games at the moment. Because of that, the life of 2GB video cards is arguably quite limited now, especially now that more games are requiring 2GB bare minimum just to run. Battlefield 1 here is just a great case of a game that's super well optimized for 2GB of video memory at 1080p. However, as long as the PS4 and the current Xbox One are still supported, 2GB will still remain the current requirement for most PC titles, at least for the near future. Now, I'll continue to explore my options and capabilities in reducing video memory usage in Windows 10 to better optimize the 7750 with running Battlefield 1. With that said, make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any other videos like this one. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. I really appreciate the support and all the likes. I could use all the views and the likes and the subscriptions I could get. Yes, I'm shilling out myself. But realistically, all that goes a long ways for me possibly making some real money off the ad revenue for my YouTube channel so I can afford better equipment for my channel so I can give you guys just better quality videos as opposed to using a digital camera to record a screen as you're seeing right now. I do apologize for having to do that, but it realistically was just the best thing I could do without affecting the performance of the computer. But once again, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a good one.